Is South Africa safe? All you need to know. As one of the most familiar countries on the continent, South Africa's story is one that is retold frequently, usually with a touch of awe. And yet behind the Rainbow Nation persona, South Africa is immensely complicated, and its history and its current political situation have led to the nation being extremely unequal. And as a result, crime and other issues that can affect your safety are not uncommon. Landing at a world-class airport, being picked up by your transfer, taken onto a stunning highway, and then being unceremoniously jolted out of your seat because of a pothole is a stupefying welcome to the country. As is stopping at a beautiful restaurant for lunch, somewhere close to the Kruger, and being told by your guide that you'd better hide your camera. South Africa is a culture shock for plenty of reasons. And while there's no way to sugarcoat the fact that South Africa has its problems, and that those problems manifest in various ways, for travelers asking, is South Africa safe? The answer is actually yes. But it's not a country that you can be naive about when visiting. How safe is South Africa for tourists? It is the question that all tourists Google before they even think about booking a trip. Is South Africa safe? Headlines can be dramatic, and often statistics are released without context, which can be absolutely awful and scary to read. South Africa has areas with high crime rates, particularly in parts of major cities. And yet the regions where international travelers spend their time are carefully managed, tourism-focused, and secured, often by private security companies. Cape Town's Atlantic Seaboard, the Winelands, the Garden Route, private game reserves like Sabi Sands, and established safari areas like the Kruger National Park operate within well-structured, visitor-friendly ecosystems. And luxury travelers can look forward to even more security. Airport meet and greets, vetted drivers, curated hotels with 24-hour security, and knowledgeable guides all reduce the risk significantly, which is why you won't often hear of tourists being gravely hurt while on tour in the country. Petty theft can and does occur, but you'll also be at risk when traveling in London, Paris, or Rome. Having wealth on display like cameras and gold jewelry, leaving your bags unattended, and wandering into unfamiliar neighborhoods at night will all naturally make you more vulnerable, as they would in most places of the world these days. This is why it is important to take sensible precautions and ask for local insight as the first step towards preventing becoming a victim. So when asking, is South Africa safe, the better question might be, how can I stay safe in South Africa? It is a country that welcomes millions of visitors each year who leave with stories of warmth, beauty, and impeccable hospitality, and you'll be just fine too if you take precautions and travel with the right tour operator. How safe is a South African safari? When it comes to safaris in South Africa, you need not worry about pickpockets, but rather the wildlife. Here in the bush, structure and protocol are everything. In private reserves in the Greater Kruger, like Sabi Sands and Madikwe, as well as in the Kruger National Park, there are strict conservation and safety regulations, designed to keep both tourists and wildlife protected. Rangers and guides are hugely experienced and professionally trained. Some are even armed where necessary, and they can read animal behavior. Game drives also follow established rules that prioritize guest safety without disrupting wildlife, and park rules are in place to do the same. Luxury lodges in safari areas also go above and beyond to ensure that guests are safe and comfortable. Most maintain high staff-to-guest ratios, have gated access, and control movement after dark. Guests are often escorted to and from suites at night, especially in lodges where there are no fences and every wildlife encounter is managed with precision and respect. When travelers ask, is South Africa safe for safari? The honest answer is that regulated reserves are among the safest environments in which to observe big game. The greater risk often lies in self-driving if you don't have the experience or ignoring guide instructions. In the right hands, a safari is calm, structured, safe, and professionally managed. In which part of South Africa is there a risk? South Africa is huge. It is 1.22 million, making it bigger than most European countries, and much of the land is either uninhabited or home to a smattering of small towns and villages. This means there are some parts of the country where crime is not an issue at all, and there are other parts you'll want to avoid. Certain inner city areas of Johannesburg, parts of Durban, and townships are not suitable for independent tourism because they have higher crime rates. Besides, there's not much for tourists in these parts of the city anyway, so you're not missing out if you give it a skip. Cape Town, while visually serene and full of exciting places to see, has some neighborhoods that are best avoided completely or only visited with a local guide. That said, petty theft can occur in safer, busy tourist zones such as Camps Bay or the V&A waterfront, especially if your belongings are left unattended. Towns in and around the Kruger and other safari destinations are quite rural, but generally safe for the tourist passing through. It is always advisable to book a tour rather than drive yourself to safari parks. Road safety is also something to think about. Rural highways are managed and maintained by Track and Central, who do a great job at keeping the infrastructure in good nick. But night driving between remote towns is not advised due to livestock, like goats and cows, which are left out to roam, and limited lighting. So, is South Africa safe everywhere? Well, no country is without risk. But when you understand where to stay, how to travel, and when to lean on local help, like that of an esteemed tour company, you'll have nothing much to fear. Are you safe with a travel group or guide? Guided travel with or without a group is about the safest way to see the country. Professional drivers know just which routes to take and which to avoid, and private guides can read situations pretty quickly and adjust plans accordingly. Boutique hotels and safari lodges also generally have relationships with transfer companies and security teams, which will give you even more security. For upper mid to luxury travelers, itineraries are almost always designed around comfort and discretion. You won't be traveling alone, and if you want a night out away from your tour, your travel operator or guide will point you in the safest direction. Now, if you are hoping to go backpacking on your own, there is a totally different kind of risk involved. And the difference is not the country itself, but the way it is experienced. Heading out with no one to guide you or advise you will leave you more vulnerable, as it would in any country. Is South Africa worth a visit? Fear has a way of making one's world really small. Yet those who once questioned is South Africa safe often find themselves standing on a cliff above the Atlantic, watching the light soften over Table Mountain, or sipping Pinot Noir beneath ancient oaks in Franschhoek, once their question has been answered. South Africa holds contrasts that few destinations can match. The vibe is different here, and if you put aside the uncertainty that fear creates, you'll find that the country is not just worth the visit, but it will sink into your bones, and you'll find yourself longing to come back. South Africa is home to some of the continent's best safari experiences. It has some of the world's best restaurants and luxury hotels, and it is so full of interesting things to see and experience, from magnificent mountain hiking trails to waterfalls and sandy beaches. Millions visit each year safely, and they stay safe because they do their research, they choose to travel with a trusted travel company, and they pack their street smarts. When you know what to more or less expect from South Africa, you won't travel with fear, but rather with confidence. For travelers still asking, is South Africa safe in 2026? The answer is neither simplistic nor alarming. It is a country you can safely explore. Safety concerns should not turn you away from a destination that continues to captivate the world. Africa has a way of staying with you long after you've left, and at African Travel Concept, we've spent nearly 30 years making sure it does. Every tour we design is a reflection of where you want to go and who you are as a traveler, planned with the kind of care that can only come from people who truly call this continent home. Get in touch, and let's begin planning your South African adventure.